When one country invades another country, it's called a war. Right now, Russia went into Ukraine. It's called the Russia-Ukraine War. They went into the Gulf, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait with America. It was called the Gulf War. Under normal circumstances, when one country encroaches on the territory of another country, as with Germany and Russia in the Second World War, it's called a war. But with Africa, you had so many invasions, conquest, colonization. It was never called a war. Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, Congo, all of these countries, the Europeans went in, they killed a lot of people, committed genocide, had concentration camps, but it was never called a war. Now, they use this same kind of perspective when it comes to talking about slavery. We are on the threshold of reparations as European governments all over are beginning to take into consideration the call for reparations for the worst crimes against humanity, African enslavement, or the Black Holocaust. But there are those who are trying to impede the discussion by saying, well, Africans sold Africans into slavery. Therefore, in words, reparations should not be paid, seeing that some Africans were participants. But I'm going to put this to us here. In the same breath, they will never dare say that the Jews should not receive compensation for the Holocaust because some Jews actually fought with Hitler and were part of the Nazi German army that perpetrated many of these mass murders and atrocities against the Jewish people. But they'll never say the Jews should not receive compensation or reparations because there were other Jews involved. Look, in an article entitled "The Jews in Hitler's Military" by William D. Montalbano, dated December 24th, 1996, published in the Los Angeles Times, it highlights the research of an American researcher, Brian Rigg, and describes his work as exploring an airy and uncharted no man's land of Holocaust history. It says Riggs interviews former German soldiers of Jewish heritage, some of them high-ranking officers who fought for Adolf Hitler's Third Reich in World War II during the Holocaust, where the Nazis slaughtered 6 million Jews. Thousands of men of Jewish descent and hundreds of what the Nazis called full Jews served in the military with Hitler's knowledge. The Nazis allowed these men to serve, but at the same time exterminated their families. The researcher talked about more than 300 of these veterans. Another one, there were 1,200 of Jewish ancestry who were Hitler's soldiers. In about 20 cases, soldiers of Jewish heritage were awarded the Knight's Cross, Germany's highest military honor. No one is going to say the Jews should not get reparations because some Jews were part of Hitler's army. In another article entitled "The Jews Who Fought for Nazi Germany, Traitors or Survivors, Cowards or Brave Men, Fools or Wise Heeders of Jewish Parables on the Sanctity of Each Individual Life." This was written by Ellen Feldman, dated August the 9th, 2020. And it starts off asking the question, what was the safest place for a Jew in Hitler's Germany? A cellar in the attic, a forest, a home with a well-connected Aryan spouse? The answer was in Hitler's military, his army, his air force. And there were several hundred of Jewish men who supported Hitler, fought for Hitler, with Hitler, not against Hitler. But no one is saying that the Jews should not get compensation for the crimes committed against them because there were Jews involved in the Holocaust. But they turn around on us and say, oh, well, African people shouldn't get reparations because Africans were involved. And the Africans had no idea what the enslavement process was about. The Jews who were involved in the Holocaust did. And the story runs so much deeper. But we're on the threshold of reparations now. Let's stay focused and continue to share that knowledge.